It's no wonder that people have picked this man to be their governor, Ron DeSantis. He's been making a lot of headlines recently, and not really for good reasons. But most people don't know much about him or his history, so that's what I'm here for. Welcome to Armchair Politics. On this channel, I try to explain American politics in a very simple and easy to understand way. So, let's get on to it. Ron DeSantis was born as the youngest person alive to Karen and Ron DeSantis. Wait. Ron's dad's name is Ron? Ron Jr. was born to an affluent family, which allowed him to aim high and study history at Yale. Am I filming this section because I completely forgot to put it into the original script? Yeah, pretty much. Ron DeSantis decided that studying history at Yale, then promptly throwing everything he learned out of the door, wasn't enough for him, so he went to go study law at Harvard.
It was here on these hallowed grounds at Harvard. Of course, I don't think this is actually Harvard. I have no idea what Harvard looks like, so I just ended up here. It was here on these hallowed grounds that Ron DeSantis studied law and also joined the Navy. As much as I would love to break into a Navy base, I decided that would not be very good for my health, of course. Guns aren't good for your health, people. You should know that. DeSantis' whole job for the Navy was to be a human rights lawyer in Guantanamo Bay. Guantanamo Bay, more affectionately referred to as a slice of land that America stole from a separate country to detain and torture mostly innocent prisoners of war. If you were to say that human rights and Guantanamo Bay don't go together, you'd be right. DeSantis, assigned as a human rights lawyer, allegedly oversaw and greenlit various torture methods, such as forced feedings and including beatings. That's not funny. Sources are in the description, by the way. After ending his stint in Guantanamo Bay, he wanted to serve his country in a different way. Rhymes. He decided to run.
I think we're supposed to be at the State House now.
Yeah.
Ron DeSantis decided to run to be a representative of Florida's 6th District. You may notice that this isn't actually the U.S. House of Representatives. The problem is that the U.S. House of Representatives is a few $100s away, so I decided not to go there. Ron DeSantis ran on a platform of pledging to always vote against climate legislation, despite his district being in the sinking state of Florida. During his time in office, Ron DeSantis voted mostly along party lines, usually with the elite he was supposedly fighting against. He also founded the Freedom Caucus, who are famous for fighting to repeal Medicare. Woo! Freedom! It's so cold. After fighting to bring freedom to the halls of Congress, DeSantis resigned and decided to run for governor of the state I actually grew up in, Florida. He began his campaign saying, and I quote, "The last thing we need to do is monkey this up," when talking about his opponent Gillum, of course, who was black. When he's not saying questionable things on the campaign trail, he's making campaign ads that look like Saturday Night Live got really good at deepfakes.
Everyone knows my husband Ron DeSantis is endorsed by President Trump, but he's also an amazing dad. Ron loves playing with the kids.
Build the wall.
He reads stories.
Then Mr. Trump said, "You're fired." I love that part.
He's teaching Madison to talk.
Make America great again.
People say Ron's all Trump, but he is so much more.
Big league. So good.
I just thought you should know.
Ron DeSantis for governor.
There was only one eensy-teensy problem with DeSantis' campaign. As Republican Joe Scarborough pointed out, he wasn't actually running on any policy. And for once, Scarborough was actually right. So, after Scarborough pointed this out to DeSantis, he immediately stopped his campaign and decided to revise his platform to actually include policy. Right? No. That would be ridiculous. He actually just kept rolling with it and just ignored Scarborough. And he just continued running without a policy platform. You know, for reasons I can't imagine, the Boston Globe doesn't have anything to say about DeSantis' policy. But that makes it just as much of a reliable source as DeSantis himself, who also has nothing in writing about policy. So in order to find out what he actually wanted to do, I had to look at what he said on the campaign trail. As far as I can tell, he wanted a state-level ban on sanctuary cities. He wanted to require a supermajority for any tax increases, And he also wanted to ban recreational cannabis, which is incredibly popular in the state of Florida. But wait, let's not forget, he also wanted to stop able-bodied childless adults from receiving Medicare. He's really continuing that Freedom Caucus legacy. He ran all the way to an overwhelming victory of 0.4%. Apparently running without a policy platform wasn't even popular with Floridians. So the real question is, why did people vote for him? I mean, people voted for Kanye, but Kanye didn't win. What made Ron DeSantis special? In theory, people get elected because of their policy platform. But like I said, Ron DeSantis didn't really have one. So why was he elected? All right. We stopped for a quick snack break because it is really intense out here. In order to find out what Ron DeSantis actually believes in, you have to look at what he says. And going through hours of campaign footage is pretty exhausting, so I did it for you. What he's really doing is he's leading the fight against indoctrination and communism. I'll pick it up later. When actually asked what he believes in, all he said is that he agrees with Trump on every single point. Now, you may wonder what points, and every single one. It's that simple. What does Trump believe in? Well, everything Ron DeSantis believes in. This is a totally normal and not circular definition. An issue that pops up over and over again here is that he really likes to tackle vague concepts instead of actual specific issues. Like another politician may go and say there's a lot of homeless people, so he's going to build more houses. Or Boston has a lot of potholes in the road, so they're going to increase the gas tax and then never actually do anything about the potholes. My point is that, in theory, people vote for a person because they like their policy, not because they just like their vibe. But that seems to be what DeSantis goes for. So, we're just going to take a quick pause here. Turns out it is like 9 fucking degrees outside, so I couldn't get everything done that I wanted to get done outside. Instead, what I've got for you is just me sitting on this desk with an American flag playing in the background on a loop. Just kidding. I didn't work on this video for literally like 4 weeks just to give up at the finish line. The weather won't stop me. Now you may be wondering why I am leaning on a stove. Well, it's an issue that DeSantis cares a lot about. Just recently he passed an act banning gas stoves. He did this because the freedom of a person to have their own gas stove in Florida means a lot. Ignoring, of course, that only 10% of Floridians actually have gas stoves, and that the infrastructure for gas stoves isn't really there. The freedom of gas stoves is still important to the people of Florida. That's a good example of DeSantis' whole process. He identifies a culture war issue, like gas stoves, then writes a vague policy around it, and does a huge press conference announcing it to his followers. Even though he's not actually solving an actual issue, it looks like he is. My point is that the whole concept of democracy is to elect people into office that will write policy that solve actual specific issues, instead of just vague ones. DeSantis' strategy, on the other hand, just seems to go with the flow. It's the exact same concept with the whole Stop Woke Act or the Don't Say Gay bill. Oh my god, wait 1 second. Look at the comment under this video. This could probably end the wokeness of Disney for good. It could possibly bring back the old scenes from rides and stuff from Disney too. You never know. Well, I guess we know what happens now when Disney adults take over Florida. He is a savior of white careers. As a left-wing nationalist, I have mad respect for DeSantis. What? Scene change. This strategy is great for him because it perfectly encapsulates how we've turned American politics into something that's more about team sports than anything else. DeSantis passes a bill banning CRT in one of the least educated states in America. Then the conservatives cheer and the liberals get owned so hard. Ben Shapiro sells liberal tears mugs, and then that's the game. Everyone's having fun, and everyone's feeling something in a country where no one feels anything because it's very depressing. These bills banning CRT or gay people from Florida aren't really designed to help the people of Florida. They're more designed as a marketing grift. Those retirees cheering on DeSantis, they don't have elementary school children, and they're probably not working at hospitals that require a vaccine, and if they are, they've probably been vaccinated already. Nothing that he's passing is really about helping the people of Florida. These bills and bans are more about creating outrage than anything else. Ron DeSantis calls trans people pedophiles, Joe Biden calls Ron DeSantis hateful, and it's a fight. And it all seems like it's just one big game. But it isn't. These policies and bans that are being passed are affecting real people in real negative ways. And that's why I'm on a beach in the middle of winter like a psychopath. A few months ago, Ron DeSantis flew about 50 people from Texas to Martha's Vineyard. I'm not actually on Martha's Vineyard because it's unnecessarily difficult to get to Martha's Vineyard, but I just decided to go on a beach because that's what most people associate with Martha's Vineyard. That's really all they're known for anyway, besides overpriced clothing. I can't afford to go to Martha's Vineyard. I'm literally paying my cameraman in Chick-fil-A sandwiches. Ron DeSantis told these 50 people that they were being flown to Massachusetts, where they'd be given free housing, there were jobs waiting for them, they'd get free health care, and Ron DeSantis basically just described my own communist utopia to these people. Basically, he lied. So he used state funds to fly 50 migrants from not Florida, but Texas, to Martha's Vineyard. Martha's Vineyard was not even told about their arrival. So they flew into the Martha's Vineyard airport. There was a quick scramble to find out where they were coming from and why they were here. This stunt was like nothing that had ever happened in American history. Wait, you're telling me that it has happened before? Wait, the governor of Florida did that in the 60s? Wait, I already knew all this because I put it into the script? Yeah. What I'm saying here is 100% true. You can look it up. The thing that happened in the 60s to black people were called the Freedom Rides. And this stunt that DeSantis pulled is eerily similar to what happened then. In fact, the migrants were temporarily housed in the same Air Force base that was used to house the victims of the Freedom Rides in the 60s. And this is the perfect example of the type of person we've got here. This is a guy that just kind of ebbs and flows with the tide of whatever's happening and then just does things to create outrage for his followers. He's manipulating them. And that's kind of bad. Voting for someone not really based on their policy platform, but really just because of their vibes, is kind of like hiring a health advisor that doesn't actually have a medical degree. I'm here to say sorry. Sorry that my microphone is taped to my chest. I couldn't find a shirt that could clip to it correctly. No, I'm just kidding. This isn't some bullshit YouTube apology. Now, what am I actually supposed to say? I try to keep my videos simple and funny, but not everything can be said in a simple and funny way. DeSantis is what political scientists call a strongman politician. As long as politics have existed, strongman politicians have existed. There are usually politicians that present themselves as strong men, and they usually talk about some vague existential threat that only they can solve. Now, strongman politicians can exist on both sides of the political spectrum, but I'm not really here to both sides it. This threat that strongmen usually identify is against some minority group, like Jews or Muslims or black people or LGBTQ people, usually against a minority that's already discriminated against. Now, you may be wondering, wow, this sounds very familiar. And if you are wondering that, congratulations, you are 100% right. Ron DeSantis has identified a vague existential threat, whether it's, communists invading the school system or gay people or trans people, usually attacking the children. Attacking the children propaganda is something that's been used all throughout history. In the civil rights movement, people pushed propaganda saying that black people were coming for your children. In the original LGBTQ rights movement, they were saying that gay people were coming for your children. Just that today it's become popular again. The ease that a society can attach itself to a strongman is pretty scary, but it's also pretty human. People who support Ron DeSantis, they aren't evil or stupid. They're just human. The reality is that a lot of people in America are suffering, and they recognize it. Whether it's housing instability, or they can't get food, or their wages aren't keeping up with inflation. But people don't really know the reason why. So when someone comes along and tells them that the reason for all their worries is a group that they already hate in the first place, it's pretty easy for them to attach to that person. I don't mean to be too controversial, but we should stop electing strongman politicians. Every time it happens, all throughout history, it has never ended well. It's a politician's job to write policy to solve real specific problems. It's even in the name. Poly is the root of the word. Electing someone because you like their vibes is like taking health advice from an MMA fighter turned podcaster who's apparently gotten hit in the head a little too hard and a little too much. My point is that we need to elect people based on their policy. We shouldn't let people take advantage of us and manipulating us by faking actual action. So next time someone comes along and says they're going to use your tax money to fly migrants out from another state, you shouldn't fall for it. The people you're voting for should offer you real solutions to all the problems around you, because that's kind of their job. You shouldn't let them just blame migrants or black people or gay people for all the problems around you, because that's just them being lazy. Unfortunately, a lot of damage has already been done. LGBTQ people in the state of Florida are suffering a lot, Anti-LGBTQ propaganda is spreading across the nation like a wildfire, and it can be pretty easy to feel helpless and powerless. But you're not alone, and there are things that you can do to help. If you're feeling adventurous, you can pester your representative. If you're feeling extra adventurous, you can run for office yourself. You'd be surprised at how much power you can have on a local level. If you're feeling less adventurous, which is totally okay, I added some charities in the description for you to donate to. Organizations like the Trevor Project and a personal favorite of mine, Keshet, which is doing great work in Florida, are in the description. If you want to learn more about leftist politics, go look at the DSA. They're the largest socialist organization in America, and they have great resources on their website educating you on various topics. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. I post every other Monday at 8 a.m. Eastern. If you have any feedback for me, feel free to leave it in the comments. I would love to hear from you. With all that said, have a fantastic day.